How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another amazing edition to the Building Out Loud podcast. It is me, one of your co-hosts, MacTheVC, aka Matt Conwell. I am here with my illustrious and much smarter co-host, Liam Gill. How you doing today, Liam, aka Lawyer Liam?
Doing good. Excited for this topic. I'm not sure if we'll have the same views, and that's always a bit exciting for us.
Yeah, we're about to have an argument, folks. It's all good. But before we start that argument, folks, Liam, tell the people about that amazing company that you are building currently.
Yeah, so my company is Law for Startups. It's a website where founders can access free legal information, free legal templates. So any seed, pre-seed founders looking to save some money, feel free to go to lawforstartups.com. That's 4 as in the number 4.
Law, the number 4 startups.com. Check it out. And before we get started, let's hear from our amazing sponsors. All right, Liam, today our amazing topic is going to be about marketing versus product. Which one's more important? Which one do you do first? I don't know. I'm kind of on one side. I think you're on the other. I usually throw it to you first, but I'm gonna start off with this, right? It depends what's more important in the stage, and for me, it depends on the stage of your company. When you're just getting started, being able to just build something that solves a problem, super uber important, very important. But what's more important, how do you get money? And you get money from customers. So go to market is probably the most important thing. But you ain't got no go to market if you ain't got no product. You can go to market with some vaporware, but that product better catch up real quick. And so for me, and this is also a bias that we have at Rare Breed Ventures, the pre-seed to seed venture fund that I run, is we have a bias for founders who are thinking very critical about go to market. And this is something that you see, and tell me if you see this, right? They say that first time founders tend to be very focused on product, while repeat founders tend to be very focused on customers. I can say that was who I was as a founder, and I found that many times that is how founders go. And I get it, because when you first start off, you start off to build this amazing thing. This is your baby. This is your dream. This is what you're building. But people got to use it. I can't tell you how many companies I've met who have built products that are way better than anything on the market. But at the same time, nobody ever used it. So those companies never went anywhere. They never figured out how to sell it. So for me, marketing is probably most important. Go to market, super important. But you can't go to market without a product. So, Liam, well, caveat, time out. You can go to market without a product. But once you go to market, you better build a product to meet all the things that you said it was going to do, just to clarify for the folks out there. But Liam, where do you sit on this topic?
I actually think I have a very, very similar answer, which is that in the early days, I think marketing is far more important than product. I think that you can build the best product in the world, and if you don't market it, no one will use it. And apart from those sort of products that get out by word of mouth, or where there's some sort of inbuilt marketing mechanism or way of sharing the information, I don't really think that you can survive without a strong marketing team. At the same time, once you do get a whole bunch of people in, if your product is absolute dog shit, you've also got a whole bunch of people to tell everyone else how bad it is. So you're kind of in a catch-22 where you need a good product and you need good marketing. But I think if I had to choose between one of the two, I think the marketing comes first, and you can then spend the money that you get from that marketing. You can spend the information you can add from customers. Like, there's just so much that comes in from marketing and having customers on board and having money coming in that allows you to improve the product. But inherently having a good product doesn't improve your marketing. It might give you some word of mouth or give you some other ways of getting the word out, but the marketing is necessary for any company. The product can be developed along the way.
And so I want to make a distinction there in what you said. You don't necessarily need a marketing team or even a sales team, right? Like, there are different ways to get customers. Some people do digital ads, Google and Facebook ads to spend a bunch of money. Some people try to become really creative and use all kind of growth hacking tools and growth hacking tactics. If you are an early stage founder just starting out and you're trying to figure out how to get customers and you don't have a whole bunch of money, I implore you to go through and scour the internet for ideas on growth hacking. You don't have to use them, but use those ideas to get your mind going, right? But let's talk about my favorite example of all this, and like dog crap products. The iPod. The iPod is an amazing flashpoint in the history of Apple, right? The iPod is what led Apple on the trajectory of what it is today. Like for you young folks out there, Apple wasn't what it was. It wasn't a brand that people thought of and respected. It was the iPod that made that. But here's the problem with the original iPod. It was a dog shit product. It's terrible. It broke all the time. The iPod is literally the most returned product at Best Buy. Best Buy, for you young people out there, with these stores that people used to go in to buy like electronics, and that's where you would go to buy your iPod. This is before like the Apple Store was like the place to go, right? Here's the thing: the iPod was nothing but a crappy MP3 player. That's all it was. And at this store, Best Buy and any other electronic stores, they literally had walls, like a literal wall of other MP3 players. And more than half of them were better quality products and cheaper. And yet, every day, people would walk past this literal wall of better products to go buy the crappy iPod because the folks at Apple figured out the marketing point. They told a story of not like this great hardware and technology and all that. They told a personal story of this is a way for you to walk around with all your music, right? Nobody had ever talked about an MP3 player in those terms. It was like walk around with this many albums in your pocket. And that was truly appealing to folks. And then they kind of made it a little cuter, more beautiful than their competitors, and people ate it up, which is funny because Microsoft came out with a competitor called the Zoom. The Zoom was a by far superior product. And everybody said it looks ugly and it comes from this old company, Apple. This old company, Microsoft. We don't want it. We're going to go to this iPod thing that Apple came out with that broke all the freaking time. For those who got the original iPods, you remember getting the little sad face on your iPod where you couldn't do anything and you had to ship it out? Yeah, that was the thing. We all remember it. But everybody kept going back and kept buying it. And because the marketing was so strong, so many people bought the original product, it gave Apple the time to improve upon that product and make it better, to make it what would eventually turn into the iPhone, right? And so always remember, and this is why it's a great example for me, go-to-market strategies and marketing are so important. And your product's got to do what it says it's going to do eventually. Maybe not do that day one, but you can't stay away for forever. Because by the time iPod got like to the second or third generation of the iPod, it became a much more superior product. For you, Liam, do you have any anecdotes or stories that you could tell about why this is? Or even better, you got any examples or stories from when you were having your own startup?
I don't think I have any stories on the level of the iPod. If I did, I probably wouldn't be here right now. But I do remember, and I have given talks on similar topics in the past. And 1,000 songs in your pocket is a very, very iconic catchphrase from the iPod. And then same with the iPhone. A lot of people forget, like when the iPhone came out, it was revolutionary, but it also just didn't work. Like I had the first iPhone and it just did not work. Like the touchscreen didn't work. Most of the App Store didn't exist at the time. There was like 14 apps, I think, in total. Most of them didn't work. Like they would just crash when you opened it. But like the way that Steve Jobs pitched the phone and the way that he presented it, I think the words he used was like an iPod, an internet communicator, and a phone all in one. And he like is very famous pitch where he pretended they were 3 different products and they marketed, we're going to release 3 innovative products, and it all turned out to be 3 in one package. And like it was the marketing that sold the product far more than it was the product itself. Like at the time, anyone with like a BlackBerry would have had a significantly better experience. And I remember like BlackBerry Messenger was a big thing at the time. Brick Breaker was a big thing. Like there was a lot of reasons to have a BlackBerry. People listening nowadays might think we're crazy to say that, but there were. And the iPhone really wasn't what was popular. Like I was in school and it was just not what like most people had, and it was not the thing to have, but it was a visionary product that everyone thought was the future. And even though your iPhone meant you couldn't communicate with like most of your classmates who had Blackberries or whatnot, like it was still something that a lot of people were drawn to because of the marketing and because of the way the Jobs pitched it. and that was always what he was good at. Like, at least in my opinion, Apple products have always continued to be pretty shit, but like the marketing is incredible, and they've built an ecosystem in a way that no company, arguably in history, has ever done. And they have a loyal fan base because of it, and they continue to this day to sell a vision, like all the way from like their 1984 ad through to the iPod, the iPhone, and even today, if you hear the way they talk, they're always talking about the vision, the way people feel about products, the way that those products improve your life. They don't talk about what's inside of them, aside from when they released the M2 computers years ago. I very rarely hear them talk about actual hardware and the software. They talk about the experience, and that's a really big thing for Apple. And every company sort of finds their own groove and their own way of connecting when it comes to marketing, and that's really the way that Apple specifically has gone about it. In terms of personal anecdotes, I would say that with my first company, we did the opposite. We focused so much on product. Like, we had a few $100,000 invested. We put all of that into product. We had a lot of money just put into building the product, and maybe a budget of a few thousand. I'm sure if I reached out to our team at the time, I'd get yelled at by Alfie, who was running our marketing at the time, because I remember constant conversations where he would ask for money for marketing, someone else would need money for R&D, and I, without a doubt, always put the money towards R&D. It's very rare that I put the money towards marketing, and ultimately it ended up hurting us, because no matter how good our product was, we went to launch and there was a few hundred people there instead of thousands there, tens of thousands there, and our product was very much one that we could have sold the idea on and had something that was maybe 10% worse or 20% worse or 30% worse, and people would have liked the idea and might have stuck around and given us some money that would have helped us build the product after we already got customers on board, and that might have been the better way of going about it. And nowadays, if I was to do it, that would be the way I'd go about it. Like, if you look at Law for Startups as an example, I've spent a lot of time writing newsletters, acquiring people. We've got 45,000 people, and we don't really have a product. We just have a newsletter right now, but I've just been promising people that we will build a SaaS product. Our product at the moment is a twice weekly newsletter and 60 Google Docs, which you can download and edit, which are contract templates. And for 2 years now, I've been telling people the long-term goal is, once I raise enough money from selling ads on these newsletters, I'll build a SaaS product where you can come in and automate all these contracts. And for 2 years, that's been enough for people. For 2 years, they're fine with the Google Docs and they're fine with the newsletters, knowing that the product is coming down the line. And they've still recommended it to their friends. They've still got the word out, and they still helped us grow relatively organically with very little marketing spend. And that, I think, to me, is proof that this way of going about it really works, that you can really go about it by spending on marketing and focusing on marketing and having the product come later down the line.
So then what do you say to the folks who are undoubtedly currently listening to this yelling, what about product-led growth? Product-led growth is the best way to go. You focus on product, you get it right, you make it work. You don't need all this crazy marketing stuff. What do you say to those folks?
Personally, I think that you can have as much product as you want. You can have the greatest product in the world, but it's no one's going to use it. I think there's a lot of good examples of it. Stadia, I think, is a great example, where Google launched an entire cloud gaming platform. They put no money, really, as far as I can tell, into marketing it. I didn't see any ads for it. And from my experience on it, it's pretty fucking good. This is coming from someone who, in the last month, has spent $500 on PlayStation games. I like my console. I'm also not blind to the fact that cloud gaming is the future, and that Google and Stadia is probably going to be the one to get there. But they haven't marketed it, and they haven't convinced me to buy it. They haven't convinced the average person to buy it, and they have this incredible product sitting there that no one uses. So I think that's a great example of someone with product who didn't know how to market it. I think potentially Google Lens is another example of a crazy product that at the time it came out was completely revolutionary. It even benefited from what I assume product people would be hoping for, which is it went viral in terms of people sharing the product, thinking the product was incredible, recommending it to everyone. but they never got a marketing message out. Like people who
it's
bought
really
it,
freaking creepy.
but
I
it's
can't
also
tell if you're looking at me or taking pictures of me.
it's also just like no one knew what it was for. Like you're telling people like, here's this computer that you could put in your glasses, and everyone's like, shit, that is so cool. Let me show this to all my friends. And then you go to buy it. And you're like, well, why am I buying this? Like, what am I supposed to use this for? Is this for when I'm on vacation to take pictures of what I'm seeing? Is this for day-to-day use? Is this like a business thing? Like, without marketing, especially with a product that innovative, people have no clue what they're supposed to do with it. Like, that's one thing that you can't criticize Apple for, is like the iPod or the iPhone might not have been the most innovative products, but they're very clear to people what their products are for and how to use them. Like you can go on their website now and you can see the 15-inch MacBook Pro and it's all DJs and, you know, content creators. You can see the 13-inch one. It's all students and, you know, business people. Like they're very clear about which one of their products are for who and how you should use each product. And it makes it a very, very easy experience as a customer. If you decide I want to buy an Apple product, you go on their site and they make it very clear which one you should get. Like that's very important.
I think that's a great point. One thing I would also say about product-led growth, I actually think product-led growth is closer to community-led growth, right? The idea that you're going to have a product that fits a certain core group of users, and those users are going to be such strong evangelists that by word of mouth, because this product solves their problem so deeply, it starts to grow and grow and grow. And we see this with developer tools very often. But that's because developers are inherently part of the network, because a lot of developers go online to search for answers on how to code things or how to solve problems that they're struggling in their code. And they're constantly communicating online. It's what we do as software engineers. And so when people's like, yeah, product-led growth, I built this product, it's really you built a community. You built a product for a community and use that community's dynamics to help it grow. And so I actually challenge people sometimes to think about product-led growth as community-led growth. But challenge me, push back. We could be wrong. I would love to hear from our listeners and our users. And so with that, if you have anything that you want to challenge or push on us, please feel free to tweet at me, at Matt Conwell, or at Liam, at Lawyer Liam. Hit us up on Twitter. Give us your comments. Let us know what you want, what you think. Feel free to email us at buildingoutloudpodcast@gmail.com. That's right, buildingoutloudpodcast@gmail.com. We're happy to take all your emails. We're happy to take all your suggestions. Please tell us what else you want to talk about. Please tell us what we got wrong. We are happy to correct ourselves. We are happy to revisit topics. So communicate with us. Let us know. But with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And before we go out, any last words for the folks, Liam?
No, I think we covered this in a good amount of detail for the specificity of this topic. That was a big word for me to say.
Coming from the lawyer, right? Big word. Interesting. Anyway, love you, Liam. Love you, folks. Hope everybody enjoyed this episode. We love our sponsors. They are great. They treat us well. And see you next time. Peace out, y'all.